Okay, you're right, James?
Yep, good to go.
Where do you think your creativity came from? So when you were young,
Yeah.
were you the creative kid?
Yeah, totally. Except I assumed everyone else was the same, was thought like I did. It took me a while to figure out that they didn't. And my favourite story is the year that my primary school teacher, can't remember what year that would have been, but really when I was really young, and she asked me to draw Santa Claus on the blackboard for Parents' Day at the end of the year. And I thought, well, why would she ask me? Because I would have assumed that the teacher would do it, being the font of all knowledge, you know, the teacher. And when I'm drawing this thing, I thought maybe it's because she can't do it. And I thought, wow, the fact that I had a kind of point of difference over the teacher made me think, well, there could be something in this, you know.
So where do you see beauty?
Pretty much in everything, to be honest. That I don't have a kind of a moral or a kind of hierarchy of beauty, this more beautiful or that more beautiful. I mean, people go on about nature, the beauty of nature, where I can walk down and sort of get a kick out of the way a lamppost goes into the asphalt on the side of the road, you know what I mean? With a couple of bits of weed sticking out of it. It doesn't, I go, nature, city, I mean, come on. It's just stuff, it's just the world, you know. Of course, I'll stop the car when there's an incredible landscape, but sometimes if you turn your back on the landscape, there'll be something over here, like a letterbox in the gloom or something like that, that's just as exotic. So I take a photo of that and put it on all these photo albums that all my references. There you go. All the professional artists I know behave in this insanely pragmatic manner. They get up in the morning and they know what they're going to have to do that day, and it's like order the canvases or research the information. It's a lot of research. In fact, I was reading the other day, interesting about songwriters that you respect. When you start talking to them, you realise they have an encyclopedic knowledge of music. It's not an accident. You know what I mean? They didn't go, I think I'll be a musician, give me a guitar. They have this incredible body of knowledge. They all do, you know, if they're successful. And it's the same with art. It's like these advertising guys, because I strayed into that racket for a while, and then the art director used to come, when I left and I got back into the art business, they would say, okay, I'll do it too. And they come around to the studio and say, how did you do it? And I said, well, first you've got to go and study the entire history of art. And they go, well, I don't know about that. And I said, well, forget it. Or else you won't know the language, you know? I mean, no one sits down at a piano and expects to just be able to play it because they like piano music. You know what I mean? That's the one, isn't it? You got the money shot. Inspiration to me is just a whole lot of small executive decisions that take you to that a lot of people don't seem to be capable of making. One of my favourite sayings is my son-in-law, the Melbourne one. He said it's the starting that stops most people, and because they don't know where to start. They haven't worked out a system of you know, a totally pragmatic housework system that gets them past starting. That's what creativity is. It's not a weird sort of mystery. I mean, I'm sure if Neil Finn gets stuck, he listens to music, and he'll listen to like Yugoslav folk music or any kind of weird shit, because you never know where you're going to get your next melody from. You know what I mean?
So what is your philosophy?
I take my cue from stupid behaviour in a way, you know what I mean? You look at it and go, well, what I'll do something that is actually honest to point out the dishonesty of this. You know, it's a pretty vain, glorious kind of ambition, but I can, my experience and my whole career tells me that I've got a bit of a handle on that. Yeah, so that's kind of what I do. And then when I did all that ticky work, it was because it suddenly dawned on me that Europeans weren't allowed to do Maori art. And I thought, well, Ralph Hodery's doing European art. I think surely it's got to go the other way. The minute I hear someone say, well, I don't think you can do that, I go, well, let's go and see what happens if you do it. You know, and, I mean, what's the worst that can happen, really seriously, is there's some sort of art god in the sky that's going to go, you know, your time is up, Dick Frizzell.
But how is that it will responded to you stepping over the line that you're not supposed to step?
Well, you don't. The thing is, the minute you get up to the line, it moves. I've never actually got over it because it's every time I get up to this so-called line, there's another line. You know what I mean? It kind of evaporates and shifts, and then it's like, oh, well, mate, what if I painted kittens on a windowsill? No, but I haven't done that one.
Do you get sick of seeing your work everywhere?
No. Well, that Mickey Tatiki, which is my big, she's a mod. And honestly, kids get it tattooed across their backs, and people send me photographs of motels up north with it painted over the doorway, that people just do it, And I'm certainly not going to sue them. I think it's fun to see it out there working. Hippies do a whole pile of laser copies and sell them at a market at Coromandel or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm not going to rush over there and it just comes with the territory. And I see little knockoffs of my stuff everywhere, tea-towel designs and yeah. But that's not that's part of what happens. It's part of the fun actually, yeah.
For me, one of the other iconic works obviously is the four squares. And what was the creative process to get to there?
Well, I mean, I never designed them. I photographed a dairy in Kingsland. It's not there anymore, and it had someone had carved a tiki into one of the posts holding up the awning, and I photographed the four square man. It's just as part of the collage of logos that and that tiki which I put into the collage. The four square man, that was his first appearance, but then he had a little breakout role of his own. Funnily enough, I made a print of him for something, I can't remember what it was, and then I started making more and more of these prints, and then I got a letter from Foodstuffs New Zealand saying, Mr. Frizzell, we're a bit worried about your use of the image, and then I wrote them this big letter about sometimes images turn into icons and float free and become part of public discourse, and they bought the whole package and actually ordered 5 prints. And then I did this amazing job for Foursquare where they wanted me to do a depiction of Charlie to celebrate their first $1 billion profit year or something. So I did, after a bit of thought, I came up with this image of Charlie just winking like that, $1 billion. And then I had to do a painting of that for the boss's office, and then they made posters of it, silkscreen prints for all the VIPs, and then they made posters. And then, because everyone loved it so much, they decided to make a mug of my winking Charlie to give away to everyone employed in Foodstuffs. And I said, well, if you're going to make merchandise, you're going to have to pay me a copyright fee because it's my image of Charlie. And the CEO down there said, yeah, I saw that coming. So Foursquare essentially paid me quite a sizable fee for basically their own logo. So that was pretty good. I thought, wow, that's the food chain completely sewn up,
Tell me that's not creative genius.
Well, it was. Totally creative genius, yeah.